Good morning, everybody. And I want to just thank the United Way for giving us the opportunity to share. And um, I have a message this morning that I'd like to communicate, which is titled, I've Given My Last. But before I can actually get to that, there's a foundation that I want to talk about, which is the importance of community commitment. And especially when it relates as far as the United Way is concerned. They have an annual giving campaign, they have an annual Stuff the Bus, and these are ways that we're able to actually participate and do something positive for the community. The message that I give my staff and my team here at Frederick Health, and when I'm out in the community, is to participate regardless of your life status. Participate. Whether you're at the rescue mission, you may not have any money, but you know what you do have? You have some time. And what's interesting is usually I see people that have money, they may not have the time. Well, then that's your role then. Your role to help and participate in the community is to go ahead and give. Well, then also there's people that may not have a whole lot of money, but then usually those folks have time. So you're able to give regardless of life status. And again, I want to encourage everybody on this call, especially as leaders, to cascade that message down to all the folks that you have within your sphere of influence, that they can be part of the annual giving campaign, whether it's actual money that they're giving, or it's even their time to help behind the scenes to put things together. And of course, the annual Stuff the Bus, which we just walked out of. I just want to remind everybody that our kids are watching us. They're watching us. They're going to end up being a product of their environment because they're watching, they're going to live what they actually see. And that reminds me of a story in my life. And this revolves around, it takes a village to raise a child, but a product of my environment. And I was fortunate to be adopted, and my adopted parents solely believed in community service. They said there's no higher way to live your life than to give your life to the community. I actually, even the male that was a father figure in my life, he used to repeat the President Kennedy often. He'd say to me, it's not what you're going to get from your country, it's what you're going to do for your country. And I ended up in the Marine Corps because he said, until you serve in military, this ain't your country. And so I've got to thank him for that. And it was a good experience. But as far as a product of my environment, let me give you an example. I had the fortunate ability to live in upstate New York from this family that adopted me. And as a teenager, they said, you're going to work this summer. And of course I said, that's great. I'm going to be making some money. That's super. This is great. And they said, wait a minute. No, we're not talking about money. You're going to go help Teresa, who owns a farm. And she's elderly and she doesn't have the money for laborers, and you're young and you're energetic. And so that's where you're going to go. And so from sun up to sundown, because you know how farms are, 7 days a week in the summertime, I learned to work and commit myself and not get paid. And so what that taught me was, and it made a difference in her life. And so I learned about commitment, and I learned about working and not looking for something. Every time I do something, I have to have my hand out. That's not where it's at, especially as leaders. We should be giving because we have talents and abilities. We should be sharing our gifts. I also want to point out, as far as this, a child is a child of everyone. Praise God, my wife, we have a little boy, and she was getting him ready for the bus. This was in the winter time, and I'm taking you back a couple years. But as she was getting him ready, and I want to, in your mind's eye, I want you to see this picture with my wife, loving this little boy that, we have taken on as a responsibility. And she was lotioning his skin because it's the winter time, and she puts on his knit hat, and he has this winter coat, and she puts the hood on and she ties it, nice and tight so that it won't blow off and he'll stay warm. And he has the knit gloves on. And then when all that's done, she looks at him, and those innocent eyes are looking at her, and she gives him a big hug and a kiss. And you can just feel the warmth and love from that experience that child is actually receiving at that moment. And so as my wife now starts taking the child out to the bus stop, she sees a child at the bus stop, a few years older in age, at the bus stop though, with a windbreaker on in the middle of winter. No hat, no gloves, and no winter coat. Now there's your defining moment for a product of your environment, and a child is a child of everyone. My child was good to go. Good, I did my job, right? No, look at what's going on in my community. And that relates to the annual giving campaign. That relates to the annual Stuff the Bus. What's going on in my community? Were we going to walk past a child that didn't have a winter coat because my child was taken care of? Not as a leader. My wife took that child to Burlington that same morning and bought that child a coat. Now, let me point something out to you. Remember, our kids are watching us, all right? That same child, who's now a young adult, she visits us regularly to check to see how we're doing now. Praise the Lord for that. Yeah. She's checking on us now. Remember, the kids are our future. And so the fact that we were able to stuff the bus and help educate the children that will eventually be running this county. So I just thank you that we have that ability. You know, we're investing in our future so that we continue to remain successful as a county. I want to mention also that a lot of times, you know, we get hung up on, I can't participate because I have problems. Well, I'm sure you do, because we all do. All of us have issues. I'd rather call them issues, because at our stature in life, they're just issues. We recognize there's never any emergencies. They're just barriers. How are we going to get through it? You know, a good example is this weather storm that we had within the last 24 hours. If you were on your way home and it was closed off, did you just go, oh gosh, I can't get home, and you're stuck? No, you found another way. And I thank the United Way, because they're going to get it done with many or with few, but I like for it to be many. So again, cascade this message down to those folks in your sphere of your influence. But we don't have problems, because when you think about it, compared to who? Compared to the town that got burned away, that got burned up, your circumstances compared to them? Or how about those that got hit with tornadoes? How about the kids that we're helping out? How about the parents that can't provide for their kids and they got to look at their kids? What feeling do they have not being able to provide, maybe like the rest of us, the leaders that we have in Frederick County, like we can for our children? So when we say we have problems, the truth is we don't have any problem. We have issues, but we don't let that stop you from being part of your community and doing something great. I also want to point out, especially with me working with entry-level employees here at Frederick Health, a lot of times, people want to say, well, I have very little. And I try to encourage and let them know, no, we have much. We have much because there's that inner beauty that you do have. You have that love, joy, and peace. Think about it. Money can't buy you the peace. I mean, it'll buy you misery you can thoroughly enjoy, but it can't buy you peace. And you have this patience and kindness, these fruits or these attributes that we should be passing on to mankind. It kind of goes back to being a product of your environment. And if you're exhibiting these fruits on a regular basis, remember, our kids are watching us. They're going to end up the way that they see. And as I was talking about this inner beauty and this inspiring of life, everyone has an inner beauty and an inner ugly. But what are you showing on a daily basis? What are you, is it that inner beauty? Is it that smile that you give that person that's probably a little bit downtrodden on the inside, but they're smiling, they're trying to keep the game face on? Or is it a thank you card that you sent in the mail quietly, and then that person receives it and it's, wow, what a difference did it make? You're actually inspiring life when you do that. The little things. See, it's not the great things. Again, if we can get everybody involved, we can do it. One person can give 100 or 10 people can give $10. Certainly you can come up with $10. And then that brings me to my point. A lot of times when we talk about giving, people want to tell you, I've given my last. And I always say, really? Please do not get caught telling me that, okay? Really? You've given your last. That means you're never going to have money ever again, ever. No, we're gainfully employed. Just because, oh, it might be a little tight until the next paycheck comes in. But let me ask you something. Can you just change the way that you're thinking a little bit? And I tell you what, put down that pizza, order one less pizza, and take that to do something different in somebody's life. You haven't given your last. You haven't given your last. So whose life can we change today? And then that person, because it was a positive thing, it goes on and on and on in a positive trend. Now I can say this through stuffing the bus, which Frederick Health, we stuffed the bus. Man, that's great. Look at the kids that we're taking care of. And there's no telling what it would be if we didn't. Except here's what we can do. We could recognize the trend that it would be if we didn't do it. Remember, the kids are the future. If we don't have those kids, didn't get the supplies they need, how would the day turn out? And again, how about the parent that has a look at their child and knows that they can't make ends meet? You know, Dr. Harris took time to talk to us about Alice, and that's something that we're working on in Frederick County, and I thank him for that, to get that message out, because that's an important message. Or how about no telling what would happen because we actually did stuff the bus? No telling how greatness, what kind of greatness will come from that. Maybe one of these kids from Frederick County will end up being the president of the United States one day, because we did stuff the bus and we gave them what they needed to meet their mission, impacting someone's life in a positive way. So as I'm closing, I just want to say, whose life can you change today and how? Well, let's recap real quick. Participate regardless of where you find yourself in life. Participate. If it's money, it's money. If it's time, it's time. But everybody can order one less pizza. So please, let's not talk about, I don't have the money. Support to impact your environment in a positive way. Remember, the kids are watching. They're going to be a product of their environment. I want us to rejoice in the qualities that are going to help mankind. That inner beauty that's actually going to really make a difference and inspire life. And because you're given, don't ever make it a situation where you feel like you're giving your last. You're not. Between now and the time you're called to glory, you'll probably get another paycheck. Okay? So please, let's not use that as a reason for not giving. And then lastly, as a Marine, I want to say something. I love Frederick County and I love United Way. And I want to point out something. Let's not leave one person behind. Okay? Hopefully everybody heard me this morning. Thank you for all the leadership that we have this morning. And thank you for United Way for the program that you put together.